programs I am going to write it. So the two programs are what? One is a client side program, CSP, and one more is called what? SSP, server side program. Two programs I need to write it. So here I am writing, students. Server side program I am writing. Next is called what, client side program I am writing. So client side program I am writing. So here client side program I am writing. There are two types of programs are available. Client side program and one more is what? Server side program. Go back to this environment. Now tell me what is happening. What is the definition of network? This is an example of what? Network. What is the definition of network? Collection of interconnected autonomous computers connected with what? Server program. Server side machine is called what? Network. Autonomous means what? Independency to start by itself. In my home, when we switch on our system, it is automatically connected to my Wi-Fi and our internet connection started. So we are not making our system to depend on active FiberNet or something else. So our system is having what? Autonomous power to start its startup. So I am writing a network is a collection of, or I can write like this. A network is a collection of, interconnected. First of all, they are interconnected autonomous computers connected with server is called what? Network. It's almost perfect according to data communication. This is a definition I just used it. A network is a collection of interconnected autonomous computers connected with what? Server. Is called what? Network. So in network programming, to develop any network programming, there must establish what? Physical network must be there, right? So to develop network programming applications in Python, see students, to develop network programming applications in Python, there must be a physical network must be established. Physical network must be established. So I hope you are following what I am discussing. Is it understandable, students? Now I am writing in Python programming to develop networking applications. What is required? We must develop two types of programs. Two types of what? Programs. They are, what is the first one? Number one, server side program. Second is what? Client side program. Good. This is the initial part of it. What is client side program? What is server side program? I want to give the definitions for you. So let us start about what, server side program I want to take up. Next I want to go for what? Client side program also I want to start. So second one is called what? Client side program. I need to start. So how this server side program is? I'll go to once again one more type of diagram here, students. Try to follow. So this is a machine. This is one of the machine I'm taking. What this program is called? Server side program. This is okay. And one more type of device I will take it. This is called what? Client side program I am taking. So here I am taking client side program. So I'll write it just client side program. And one more is called server side program also I will write it. Fine. Server side program I wrote it. And then client side program always makes a request To whom? Server side program. We are defining the definition, students. Carefully try to follow. So what is this is called? A request. Made by whom? Right. Request made by client side. So already we have completed PDBC, Python database communication. There is a lot of relation is there. And a server side program will process the request and gives what? A response. Gives response back to whom? Client. So here I am going to write it. This is called a response I am writing here. This request and response will be continued until all my total request and response model is completed or not. So this type of thing is available over the network. This is available over the network. So I'm just writing here that just like I am writing here what? Network. Network is already established between multiple machines. Then only request and response can be made. Tell me, what is the definition of server side program and client side program? What server is doing? You tell me, students, if you understand me. See, communication between client and server is nothing but conversation between two friends. You always think like that. Conversation between two friends is nothing but what? Network programming application. A conversation between teacher and student is always called what? Networking application. Tell me, what server is doing? Server side program receives what? A request, process the request, and gives response back to the client. If you know definitions now, you can understand very well. What is the client side program? Client side program always makes a request to server side program and receives what? A response coming from the client. So I'll write the definition here. Now I'm writing. A server side program is one. A server side program is one, which is receiving what? A server side program is one which is receiving what? Client side program request, comma, client side program request, comma, process the client side process the request and gives response back to what? Client side program. Gives response back to what? Client side program. Are you able to follow? Gives response back to what? Client side program. Are you following? Now, a server side program is one which is receiving client side program request, process the request, and gives response back to client side program. Are you following? Next. Here I am going to write it, client side program. What is the client side program now? A client side program is one which is sending request to whom? A client side program is one which is receiving, which is sending request to what? Server side program and obtains response from server side program. So definitions must be so clear. This is about what? Server client side program and server side program different definitions. There you need to understand about some more definition you need to get it. See students, when a client side program want to communicate with the server side program and the server want to give response, first what must be established? Connection. Already over. PDBC already over. PDBC concept already over. If a Python program want to communicate with the database software, you must get what? Connection. Suppose if you want to talk to your friend, first you must get the connection from him. So that's why we must go for first what? Connection establishment is mandatory. So for connection establishment, what must be known? If a client want to get the connection from server side, you must first understand that what? Every server side program must reside in one machine. That will be called as what? knowing the name of the mission is nothing but getting what? DNS. DNS I already explained in the Python database communication. Or also you can find with what? IP address also you can find. So these two things I already told you now. So I'm going to write it. Client side program want to communicate with server side program. First and foremost important thing, it has to get the connection. To get the connection, what you should pass it? IP address. In which machine my server side program will present. So I need to pass the machine name or IP address. That is mandatory. Next, see, in this place, lot of server side programs, S1, S2, S3, these are all called what programs? Server side programs. Do you know, when you come to Naresh ID, you are having Java class, Python class, Oracle class, C class, C++ class, etc. Everybody is coming to Naresh IT here. But what is different? Room numbers are different. That room numbers are nothing but what today? Port numbers we need to call. When you go to your college, first floor, first room is first year, second year, third year, room numbers are allocated. All of them are going to the same college only. But what is different, students? Port numbers are different. So here I will write two types of things here. What are the two types of things? Now I am going to define definition of what? Definition of what? DNS. Definition of DNS I am going to take up. What is the definition of DNS, students? I already told you. DNS is a name of a physical machine. Is a name of a physical machine. Where server side program resides. Did you understand? The default DNS, already I told this type of wording in the Oracle only. The default DNS of every computer is what? Localhost. This is one thing. Next I want to go for what? Definition of what? IP address also. Definition of IP address I will go for it. IP address. Because once these definitions are clear, program will be easy. So I am going to write it. IP address is a numerical address of a physical machine. Is a numerical address of a physical machine. Is a numerical address of a physical machine where server side program resides. So either DNS you take or IP address you take, server side program residing location will come. The default IP address of every computer is 127.0.0.1. And already know that I told you already the default address of every computer we call it as loopback address we can call. This is about what? IP address. So either DNS I will pass or IP address I will pass. Only it is enough? Huh? No. You need to go for what? See, I told you already. Everybody is coming to what? You are going to your college. First years are there, second years, third years, and then fourth years. First year room number is 111. Second year room number 222. 3333. 444. This is called the numbers are available. What is this 1, 2, 3, etc.? You got connected with the server and you are entering into the 111. At this place, your program is running. What is this port number is? Port number is a logical numerical ID. Why I am using the word called a logical? Because I can change my room number anytime. I can change my port number at any time. So DNS or IP address will give you residing location. Port number will give you the running location, program running location. So I'm going to define one more definition here. Definition of what is here? Port number. Definition of port number I'm going to take. So simple, students, observe it now. There I am writing a port number is one of the logical numerical ID logical numerical ID, where server side program is running. Where server side program is running. Server side program is running. So residing location will be given by DNS or IP address, and port number will be given by what? Port number is giving what? A running location. So if a client side program want to get the service to be done, first you have to get what? Connected. You have to get connection by passing what? DNS you pass, and you pass what also? Port number you pass it. Or you pass it what? IP address you pass it. IP address you pass it. Port number also you pass it. These are the two things you pass it. Are you getting my point? So port number is mandatory to pass it. So this is the terminology of what? Network programming. I want to go for what? Steps for developing. How to develop server side program. How to develop client side program. I must go for taking these things. So this definition is clear. And after this is a terminology of network programming. Now I am entering into the next mechanism. Steps I am going to introduce. Steps I am going to introduce, students. Carefully try to follow. Now I'll go for next stage is called what? Steps for developing. Steps for developing. So steps for developing server side, server and what? Client side applications, client side programs or applications or whatever it is. So I'm going to discuss that. So let us start discussing about what is the meaning of this entire thing. Easy, students. So there I am talking about the first one, steps for developing server side application, steps for developing client side application. Separate things I will go for it. First one, steps for developing. I'm going to take up server side program. I will take it. So first one I am taking here, steps for developing server side program I am taking. So go to that place, and after this is finished, I'll go for the next level. That is the next step. That is second one. Steps for developing what? Client side program. Client side program I am going to discuss. Client side program I am going to discuss. What are the steps? Now I am going to discuss now. So let us carefully follow, students. What exactly steps for developing server side, steps for developing client side will start with. What is the step number one? One thing you must remember, students. In order to deal with a networking application, there is one module is available. What is the module name here? Socket. That also I will discuss after this topic is over. After these steps are over, I'll go for module name required for developing which application? Networking application. I will go for discussing that. That is after finishing these steps, I'll go for this topic. Module name required for developing. Module name required for developing which application? Networking application. So I'll go for what? Networking application development I will take it. So what is the module name there? Socket we will take it. Socket we will take it. So how this socket will work? So let us start the discussion now. Tell me, steps for developing which application? Server side application. First step is what? Import the socket module. Import CX underscore Oracle module. Import MySQL .connector module. Like that, import threading module. Like that. In both the steps, it is in the both the steps, both of them require what? Import what? Socket. Okay. Now I'm going to write it. Step number 2. Step number 2. What is the step number 2? See, students, here we need to go for this module is not a third party module. It is a predefined module of what? Python only. Prashant. It is a predefined module of what? Python only. No need to install. It is by default present in where? Python software only. Okay. Then here I need to go for what is happening here. What is the English meaning of socket? You tell me. English meaning of socket. Forget about the socket module. What is the English meaning of socket? See, whatever you know, you tell me that. Why to delay? What is the meaning of socket? So, two different devices will be connected. Take your mobile charging one. So, this is called your plug, and you are keeping the pin over there, and you are keeping another device, right or not? So, this is known as what? The way where you are connecting is called what? You know, socket we can call. Socket object is available at this side. Socket available. One more connector is available this side. In both the sides, socket is available. But what is the difference? One is a supplier, one more is a receiver. In both the sides, what is there? Socket is there. Socket at server side will do what? Receive it and send it. Socket at client side will do what? Sending and receiving. So socket is acting as what? Bidirectional communication entity between both the devices. What is the socket? Bidirectional communication entity. That is the original meaning of socket. It receives it and then it will send it also. So socket is called what? Bidirectional communication entity. It will connect two devices. So there are two sockets now. One is server socket, one more is client socket. Now here in the socket class, there is a socket class is there. Whose object I will create? Whose object I will create? Are you following? Create an object of what? Socket class of which module? Socket module and bind with certain, it's an important, certain machine at port number. What is the meaning of it? When you are making it as a server side program, I will create an object of what? Socket, and I will make it to bind with certain machine and what? Port number. Why should I use port number? Because I am writing which side program? Server side program I am writing. When I am writing server side program, it should be available at certain machine or not? What for you are making it available at certain machine? To tell the DNS. Why port number? To make it to run. These things you are making. Suppose I am a server side program. I was bind with Naresh IT at the room number called 1. So who am I? A socket class object created in Naresh IT at port number 1. All my Python students will come to Naresh IT and port number 1 or not? This is nothing but making the program of Python as which side program? Server side program. Got it out? Next. Students in online. It is very easy, student, and interesting also if you understand. If you don't understand, it's a complex. Is the second step clear? Next step. What is the next step? Think about it. Now it is running. What should I? It is ready. It is available at certain machine and port number, everything ready. Next, what it is doing? You observe it. Everything is done. It is running at certain port number. It is available in certain machine. Next step. Getting the request from which side program? Right. Good. Now I am writing. Every server side program must accept the request. From where? Client side program. You will accept it. Suppose you are asking a doubt. I will accept your doubt. After accepting the doubt, what you will do? After receiving the letter from the postman, what you will do? You will receive it and you will read what he written inside. You will ask the doubt. I will accept your doubt. I will understand your doubt parameters. So every server side program must read. Every server side program must read the request parameters of client side program. Must read the request of must read the request of which program? Client side program. That is an important. I'm writing capital letter means there is some function is there. The request of which program? Client side program. Every server side program must accept the request from client side program. Every server side program must read the request of which program? Client side program. What next it will do now? Accept it. After accepting, what you will do? You will process. You made a doubt. I accepted it. I understand what is your doubt. I will process by myself and I will give the response. So what is that now? Every server side program must process the client side program request. Client program request. And gives what? Come on. Process. Okay. I will write step number 6, separate roster. Every server side program must send. Come on. Must send what? The response. Response to whom? Client side program. Client program must send it to the request. Response to what? Client program. Is it understandable? These things will be repeated. All these things will be repeated. From where? Repeat steps 3, step 3, 4, 5 and 6. Repeat step 3, 4, 5, 6 until client side program closes. Until client side program closes its requests. So as long as client side program is sending, I will go on responding it by performing the step number 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it understandable, students? So step number, repeat steps 3, 4, 5, 6 until client side program closes its request. That is about server side program. Important. Coming to steps for developing which side program? Client side. Don't take much time. You only start, students. Online students, is these 6 steps are clear? Online students, is these 6 steps are clear? Right? So done. Now step number, first already done. Import what module? Socket module. Second step, please. Come on, socket is, what is the socket module imported? That's nice. Next, what you will do? Here created a client socket class object of socket model and bind with certain mission number and what? Port number. That is called which side program now? Here also I will create what? Create an object of socket class of socket model. Come on. And connect with what? Server side program. What is the difference between both of them? This is binding with a certain mission and port number because it is a server side program. It is connect with what? Server side program. Which one? Client side socket. Client side socket will connect to server side socket. That is called what? Bidirectional establishment. Next. I hope you are following. What you are passing? Bypassing DNS or what? IP address and what? Port number you will pass. Bypassing this one. Of course, I am writing in the pair. Bypassing DNS, IP address, any one of it, and what? Port number. With this, what is established? Connection established. Very good. Next, step number 3. You only tell me. Once a connection is established, once your friend lift the call, what you will say? Request sending. Who will send? Client side program. Now I am going to write it. Now I am writing. Every server side, every client side program Every client-side program must send a request to whom? Server-side program. After when connection is established, you are sending a request. How to send a request? I will go for it. Once you send a request, student, once client-side program send a request, step number 3 you see. Server-side program accept the request. Server-side program must read the requested data. Server-side program must process the data. Server-side program send the response to what? Client-side. What step number 4 he will do? Yes, it receives. Every client-side program must receive. Every client-side program must receive the response. So, receive the response. Receive the response. Response from where? Server-side program. Okay, done. Receiving the response from the server-side program, you want to display, you display. Otherwise, what operation you want to do, you do it. Step note I will write it. Finished. This process will be repeated. Repeat steps. Repeat step number 3, 4. 3 and 4. Because connection is established once, right? Repeat step number 3, 4. Repeat step number 3, 4. Or if any want to say from beginning also. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3 and 4. No. Until all requests of what side program completed? Client side program completes. Until all requests of client side program completes. So I'll take this. I hope you are understanding, students. So what is the server side program, client side program? It is just a conversation between friends. It is a conversation between teacher and student. It is a conversation between Python program and database communication. It is very simple. Are you following? Now I am going to introduce module name for development of what? Networking application. Before going to that, online students, please respond once. Is it understandable, students? Online students, confirm it. Is it clear in understanding? Done. Now I will move to the further, students. Now I am going to further. What is the module name for development of networking applications? Now I am writing socket module. Easy. The module name for developing thread networking applications is sockets. Socket. What is the module? Already you are aware of it. It contains functions, classes, attributes. If anything is there, it will be going on containing. Now I am going to see functions in where? Socket module I am going to discuss. Functions in socket module. I am going to talk about socket module. What are those functions? Now I am going to discuss. So very simple, students. Now I am going to discuss. And I am just taking some rough work here. Rough work I am taking. So I am just writing like this. What are the various functions present in that? Number 1, socket of. By this time you must get it very easily. Next is called what? Bind. Next is called what? Listen. L-I-S-T-E-N. L-I-S-T-E-N. Of course, that is also very easy, not a difficult. Next is called what? Next is called what you know? RECV. RECV with decode. With decode. Send with encode. Send with encode. Next is called what you know? Here, accept, I will take it. Accept, very important method. Next is called connect function. 7 functions total. Yes, 7 functions. So what is the socket? What is the bind? What is the listen? And all those things will take it. And one small thing I want to go for it. Of course, it is very easy. But one small thing, I want to add some small step here. What is that? Create a object of socket class of socket model and bind with certain mission and a port number. And also See, for example, you take our class students. In our class, there is certain restrictions are there. How many students are supposed to sit in the class? Even by the link of this from Zoom, for what 500 students we purchased the link. So more than 5,000 people is there, it is automatically getting disconnected. So in the same manner, any socket object is made as a server-side program, binding at certain port number and etc. And also the server-side program must be configured in such a way that to how many clients it can communicate. 2 now, 3 now, 4. Actually, it is a drawback actually. In internet, Gmail you take it. Is it having any restriction of you need to create only 500 people only need to create Gmail account? Is there any such restriction? No. So it is these are all called what? Restrictions in networking module. But we have to, since we are learning a legacy library, legacy module, we have to learn its properties also. And also configure the server-side program, in such a way that to how many clients server-side program communicates. Server-side program communicates. Are you able to follow? Create an object of socket class of socket model and bind with a certain machine at port number, and also configure the server-side program in such a way that to how many clients server-side program communicates. This is called what? The second step, I just added some small point. This is also called how many clients. If you don't configure it, it cannot communicate with the clients. So that point I just want to add it. Yes, added. Now I'll go to the first point is, but what first function I will go for it. What is that? Socket off. So what is this socket off? I'm going to see writing this. This function is used for creating an object of what? Socket. Creating an object of socket. So I'm going to write it socket. Why do we create a socket? For one end to transfer, another end to receive, another end to send, another end to receive. So for bidirectional communication purpose, I must create what object? Socket object. How do I create it now? Syntax, I'll write it here. See students, I'm writing here syntax. What is the syntax here? Variable name is equal to socket dot socket off. Socket dot socket off. So here I will write it. Variable name is an object of what? Socket class. So object of class socket, small only, module name na dot what? Socket. Yes, a capital. S small and class name is capital. Socket class. So socket is also part of which class? Socket module only. So an object of socket acts as a bidirectional communication entity. If I create a socket in the server side program, it is a server socket. If I create the same socket object at the client side, it is a client socket. So socket object is existing in both the sides. So I will write it. If here I will write it, part by part I will write it, students. So here I am writing socket. Here I am writing. Here I am saying something like this. Now I am writing like this. If I am saying, if we create an object, if we create an object of what? Socket. Object of what? We create an object of socket. We create an object of what? Socket. At which side program? Server side program. Then it is called then it is called what? Client server socket. Server socket. Server socket. If we create an object at which side? If we create an object of socket at where? Client side. Client side program. Then we call it as what? Client socket. Client socket we can call. Are you able to follow this? This is about what? This is about what? Socket function. So I can create an example here. What is that? S is equal to socket dot socket of. This statement I can write in both which side? Client side I can write as well as server side I can write. If I create it in my table, it is called server socket because the teacher is a server. Student side, if you create it, it is called what? Client. It is a client socket. Right. Second function, online students. Did you understand this, guys? All of you. So socket is finished. Now I am going for what? Bind. All the students must respond. So bind I am going to discuss. What is the use of this bind function? So bind function is used for, I am writing. This function is used for making the server side program. Making the server side program. Server side program is nothing but which socket? Server side socket. Server socket. This I will write it. Server side program is nothing but, always remember, server socket is used for making the server side program to be available at certain what? Machine and what? Port number. So that is called what operation? Is called what? Binding. Is called binding. Are you following me? How do you go for syntax? What is the syntax? Tell me. Server socket object dot, that is nothing but yes dot only. Correct or not? Yes dot only. Dot bind of, you need to pass that in the form of tuple students. Tuple. Bind is taking only one. What is that one I am taking? Tuple I am passing. In the tuple what I will pass? DNS I will pass it. Comma what I will pass? Port number I will pass it. Port number. Otherwise you can pass like this also. What is this now? I take it. What is this now? IP address. IP address we can say. IP address comma what? Port number I am going to say. Did you understand? I am passing in the form of what? Port number I am passing. This is called your tuple format I am passing it. Either you can pass DNS or you can pass what? Port number you can pass it. Example if you take it. S dot bind of, I can say, what is this? Localhost, comma, I'll say pass your own port number, take your own number. And I advise you take 4-digit number, which is after. Why? Because if your system is connecting to internet, already internet is containing some predefined port numbers are there. Take some number after some 8000. See, take your own roll number or your vehicle number, you take it. Because some port numbers are already available. 8080. This is called one port number of something. There are some port number 1521. There is some port numbers are there. You take certain port number where it is not there in the internet port numbers. So you take your own vehicle number, like that you try to take it. Are you following me? Now, you can also say this as what you can say, or you say s dot bind of. Now I am saying, here I am writing, s dot bind of, what I can say here, 127.0.0.1. This is called what? We bind it. only binding, but you did not configure to how many clients it can communicate. That is called the next function called what? Listen. Listen. I'm going to take up the another function called listen. So I will continuously discuss the same function, student. Third, here only I will discuss. Listen. What this listen function is doing? Listen function is doing what? This function is used for configuring what? Configuring server side program in such a way that this function is used for configuring server side program in such a way that to how many clients the server side program can communicate. To how many clients the server side program can communicate. Did you understand? Right. Example, syntax I will take it. What object, student? Server socket object dot list listen of what? Number of clients. Example, if you take it, s dot listen of 3. If I don't write this listen function, it cannot communicate with the clients. Okay, students? So this is called one more type of function. So binding after this listen function is completed. Now I am going to say, online students, did you understand listen? And to make my program as a server side program, socket object creation, binding is creation, listening. These three things are mandatory to make it. That's why these three things are called server side functions we can call. Of course, socket can be created at client side also. This bind and listen is purely comes under what? Right. Now I'm going to talk accept, which is a very, very important, students. Now tell me, under accept what is happening? Try to catch it. Easy. Go to our steps once. Step number 1, import socket model. Step number 2, just now over. Create an object of socket model. Bind with certain port number and then mission. And configure the server side program in such a way that to how many clients server side program communicates. That is over. First function socket of bind listen. Now I am going for every server side program must accept request from where? Client side program. So now I am writing this function is used for obtaining request of which side program? Client side program. See students, one intelligent point you try to get it from there. Accepting client side program request is nothing but what? Getting which object? Accepting client side program request is nothing but accepting which object? Client socket. When I am accepting your doubt means what? I am accepting the student object. Accepting obtaining client request program is nothing but obtaining client side program request. Client side program is nothing but obtaining request of client side program is nothing but getting what socket object? Client socket object. At which side? Server side program. At which side program? Server side program. See students how simple it is. The obtaining request of client side program is nothing but getting client socket object at which side program? Server side program. And not only getting the client side of socket object, you will get the client side mission IP address also you will get it. In these days, when something is uploaded, some bad comment about some politicians and all, they are finding in which IP, from which machine the video is uploaded or not. That means not only getting the client socket object, also getting what? IP address of the client side machine. And from which client side machine that request is coming. So obtaining request of client side program is nothing but getting client socket object at a client socket object and what? Address of what? Client side program. Client side program at where? Server side program. Students in the online may know that. Are you following this sentence? Now I will go for the syntax. Easy. When I receive the mail, I am coming to know from where that mail is coming. I will come to know or not. I'll get the address of the person. I'll get the IP address. IP address is not given, but I am getting the person details will be coming at my side or not. So syntax I am going to tell me what is this now? Server. Come on. Server socket object dot. What is the function name? Accept. It gives you how many values? 2 values will be coming. Obtaining request of client side program is nothing but getting client side socket object and getting what? Address of the person. So what is that now? Client socket object. Here I will write it. 2 things I am getting. Variable 1 comma variable 2. A function can return 2 values. Already we know. 2 values it can return. Accept function also returning how many values? Function call with what? Multi-line assignment or single-line assignment. Separate variables I am taking. I can write a single value also. Variable name I can write. Variable name of 0 contains what? Socket object of client. Variable of 1 will contain what? IP address of the client side program. So here I will write it. Here variable name is variable 1 represents which object? Client socket object. Represents what? Client socket object. Here variable 2 represents what? IP address. Represents what? Address of what program? Client side program. Are you following? Now, so once if I am getting the client side things in my server side, means I am getting your total object at once. Why I am getting total object? To reply to you in your object only. So your object is containing this details at which side program? Server side program. So what is an example here I am writing? CS client socket, comma CADDR client socket SOCK client address is equal to what? Yes, a dot. What is this now? Accept. It is a heart for network programming. Client socket and client address. Both of them are coming. So this is about what function? Accept function. Students in online, did you understand this accept function, students? Now, fifth function I am going to take up. Tell me. Once you understand this accept function, once you got everything, what should I do? From CS, from C socket, from client side socket, when I am accepting your request means what? In your socket object, some data is containing or not? That I should read it, that I should receive it. At which side? So here what is received? Request is coming. What is received here? C, socket object received or not? From that object, I need to get the data. Getting up? How do you get the data? Dear students, the data which is coming over the network from the client side to server side program, the data is coming by default in encrypted format of which type? Bytes. Which type it is containing? Bytes. By default, it is containing in the form of bytes. What should I do? I should say client socket object dot I should say RECV. RECV stands for what? Receive. And in receiving, you need to specify something here. First, understand RECV. What is the meaning of RECV? Receiving the client request. From which object you are receiving? From client socket object only you are saying receive. Once you receive, the data will not be coming in normal form. The data will come in the form of what? Bytes. Bytes. Already we used bytes in earlier days. Bytes is meant for what? Not having in the data in plain text. It is having by default in where? Encrypted format. Such a format is coming, whose return type is called what you know? Bytes will come. Bytes. If you want such a byte data, I don't want, because client side program data, if you want to understand it server side, you go for what? Decode. Did you understand the meaning of decode? There are two things are there. One is called encoding. One more is called decoding. What is the meaning of decoding? Converting the ununderstandable format into understandable format. That is called what? A decoding. What is encoding? Understandable format. For secrecy of data transmission purpose, we go for what? Encode mechanism we use it. Tell me what I am saying now. Understand here. Client side program is sending the request. So come on, which one you will use? Encode or decoder? Come on. Encode you will use it. Encoding means what? When it is visiting over the network, the data must go in bytes format. When it is received at where? Server side. What you will do? Decode. Receive and decode. Okay, you are processing your request and you are giving the response back to that. Giving response time, what you will do? Encode once again. And the client will receive that. What you will do again? Decode. Did you understand the decode and encode here? So decode will do what? Encode will do what? Decode function will convert the bytes data into STR type. STR type. Encode function will do what? Convert the STR data into bytes type. These are the important things. So now I am going to take, accept is over. Now I am going to take RECV with decode. RECV with decode. What is the use of this function? So this function is used for receiving. So receiving what? Request. Receiving the request. I am writing two places, students. I am using in RECV, I am using it client side. I am using it server side also. Observe once again the diagram, you observe it. See, server socket receiving the request. Come on, RECV, right or not? Server is sending the response. Response is receiving at which side? So RECV, I am using it which places? Two places. Request receiving, response receiving. So here I am right. This function is used for receiving request of client at server, and it can also be used at where? And it can also be used at where? Client side program for receiving the response of which program? Response of which program? Server side program. In both the places we use it. But when you are using that point now, must be careful enough. So what is the syntax, sir? Syntax. See that now? What object I am using? When I am writing RECV at which side? Server side, which socket you will use? Server socket. When I am using at client side, which socket you will use? So, in this place, here you come on, here I am using. When you are receiving the client's request, already accepted CS client socket or not? To receive the client data at server, I will use what? CSOCK dot RECV. Using which object I am receiving? Client side. Because your object is there with me. Through your object only I am getting your data. So I am writing which socket? Client socket object dot recv. One small point here, something I will write there, which will give you question mark. Wait for some time. That will give you what data generally? What data? Bytes data it will give. For that I am going to do what? Decode, which is coming the server client side data coming in which data? STR data it is coming. If you want, I can write it. Variable name. I will write what is this variable name? Decode function. RECV by default gives the data in the form of what? Bytes. What is this decode function is doing? Converting the bytes data into STR data. Getting or not? So here, while you are receiving, it is also one drawback of the network programming. You must specify students what, how much data you are receiving, you need to tell. The minimum data capacity starts with 1024. 1024. Later it can be extended to what? Doubled. 2048. Later it can be extended to what? 4096. Like this it can be doubled. Did you understand this point? This is called a packet receiving size. Data receiving size. As on today you are buying now 75 kbps speed or something like that. Now we are going to receive at what type of data size you want to receive. I hope you are understanding that. Either you can specify this, or you can specify this, or you can specify decode. So what is here I am writing? See students, here variable name is an object of type str. Here decode function converting which type? Bytes type object data into which type? STR type. So example if I take it, students, here I am writing, what I am writing? Come on now, STR data, something like CS data, client side data is equal to C socket, client side socket dot what I am saying? RECV of 1024 dot what? Decode I am going to do it. So C socket object receiving in the form of bytes, converted into what? STR. Such STR data present in where? CS data. So this STR data you want to convert it integer, float, bytes and etc. There is a typecasting functions are there. Are you following? This is about what? RECV with a decode. So strictly used in both client side as well as what? Server side. Students in online, I hope you got it. Now I am going to move to the further. Understand students? Now I am going to enter into the further. What is the next function? Send. I will take the next one is called send. I am going to discuss. What is the function name? Sixth. Come on now. Discuss now what is this send function is doing. Come on. What RECV is doing? You go to the diagram once. What client has to do what? Send. Client has to send what? Request. And the server has to do what? Response. Send response. This is called what? RECV. Client sending request, server sending response. In the form of what? Bytes type. So STR data is available in STR. Convert that into what? Encode into which type? Bytes type. So I hope you got it. This function is used for sending request of client to server. It can also be used at client side program for sending request of used at client side program for receiving. I will write it. This function is used for used for sending request of sending what? request of which side program, client side program, to which side program, server side program, and it can also be used at where server side program for sending response to what side program, client side program. Done. See students, done. This is about what? My description here. Done. Both the sides. Syntax students, see that variable name now. What is this now? How I will send the data to the client? How I will send the data? Already CSocket received. Through CSocket only. CSocket dot what? Send your data by encoding now. You keep the data in where? CSocket only. And what is this data? STR data you need to send. Suppose if I have int data, float data, etc. First convert into which type? STR to what? Encode. Because encode function is present in where? STR only. First convert your numerical data into STR. STR dot encode you need to say. What is this now? Client socket object dot what? Send off. What is this now? STR data dot what? Encode off, and close this bracket. That means you have what? Some data is there, converted into which type? STR type, by using what? STR of some 1000 is there. You want to send 1000. Do what? STR of 1000. Dot what you will do? Encode you will do. Don't write 1000 dot encode. This is not working. STR dot 1000. Convert the 1000 numerical value into STR and apply what? Encode. Encode function present into where? STR. It is converted in the form of what? Bytes actually. So bytes is a parameter in where? Send. So example I will write. Example. What is this now? Example. What is an example here? What is an example? CSocket object dot send of what you will say? Some STR data, whatever you have, dot what you will do? Encode of. This is about what function you know? Send function. So I hope that send function is also clear. In the programming, I will use all these things. Very perfectly we will use these things, students. And the last part of the function is called what? Seventh one is connect function I am going to talk. What is the use of this connect function? Easy. Use it at which side? Client side. Why do you use connect function? To get the connection with which side program? Server side program. This function is used for obtaining connection from which side program? Server side program. From which side? At which side? By the client side program. By, I will write. By client side program. Bypassing what? DNS or what? IP address, comma what? Port number. This is what you need to pass it. What is an example syntax here? Syntax. What is this now? Come on, which socket? Socket dot connect. That socket will become what? Client. Socket dot bind. That socket will become what? Server socket. Already beginning only I said. Socket dot bind, if you say, that will become what? Server socket. Here socket dot connect, I say. What is this now? Socket object dot, how I will create? Actually, socket S is equal to, I'll do what? Dot what is here? Socket of, what I am doing? S dot, what is this? Connector. There also you need to pass DNS or what? IP address, anyone you pass it, comma, what you will pass? Port number you pass it. This you see. Yes, a dot connector, DNS. Already your DNS and everything given or not? Here S is called what? I can say. Here S is called which socket? Server socket. The another S here it is called what socket? Which socket, students? Here the S is called which socket? Client socket. Because it is using which function? Client. Connector. Connect. S dot connect means client socket. S dot bind means what? Server socket. This is the description about what? Example if I take it. Here I am writing. See. S dot connect of what I will pass it. In the tuple you will pass it. What is that? Local host, comma, 888 you will pass it. You can also see here, same thing. You can say the same thing. I'm writing here. S dot connect of what I will say. 127 dot 0 dot 0 dot 1. 888 I am saying. This is about what you know. Total functions of what model? Socket model. So tomorrow class when we come back, we'll discuss about what? Programming on this area. So don't miss it. Very, very important discussion, students. I'll send this all the information to you. Read out and come tomorrow. We'll do the programming. Okay now? So I'll stop the class. Tomorrow class, we'll go for it. Online students, I hope you understand these functions here. So Rahul is saying how to connect end pages using HTML. My dear student, that is by doing what? In Django only we can do that. HTML, CSS, these are all called Django web related application, that is. Web application development you can use. In web application development, lot of things I can tell you. But our course is called Python language we are learning it. In Django, if you come, how to develop a real-time website, you will be learning it. Using Python, in Django, which code you write? Python code.